Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be putting the 6-liter that we built in a 2001 Z28 Camaro known as FishStik. This is a 40 over 6-liter with flat top pistons. Car's right here behind me. We're about to push it inside and get started now. Alright, so here's the 6-liter that we prepared for this car. After several years, we finally get a shot at redemption at this, and it's not even our car anymore. That means something to us. Little backstory on this thing, in case you didn't know. A few years ago, me and Emma drove to St. Louis and picked this car up. We brought it back, had it just a few weeks, and I thought, hey, you know, this is our first LS, let's put a cam in it. So we put a cam and a converter in it. Didn't change the lifter trays, we had a lifter failure. We pulled that motor out. It was an aluminum 5.3, it got the lifter bore. This is where we started taking a lot more precaution and trying to learn from our mistakes. You know, we realized every corner you cut creates two more. So we picked up a little junkyard 6.0. We tried to freshen it up, go all the way through it. We mix matched a bunch of parts not knowing that they were not compatible. Gen 3 pistons with Gen 4 rods. And needless to say, once we started that 6.0 up in the car, it developed some noises and didn't last very long at all. Stuck a junkyard iron block 5.3 in it, blew transmission up on the test drive, and that's when I said, all right, I've had it with this car. I kind of come into a hard spot. I traded it off for a 05 Suburban to the current owner, and over the last several years he's rebuilt the 6.0 and you know was trying the DIY way and just didn't have very good guidance. It was kind of one of those things, forums and internet led him to kind of do a few things wrong, and I mean it happens, man. We learned the same thing on the same car, so I mean, it is what it is. But now we've got this 6.0 that was freshly worked by Mike Lau. It's 40 over. We've got a new set of flat tops to match the bore. We've got a good set of Gen 4 rods in it, all new rings and bearings. We gapped the rings for a little bit of spray. We put a BTR Stage 3 LS1, LS2 camshaft in it. It's got a double rolling timing set, a milling high volume pump. Really, that's about it, man. It's got a set of 799 heads, so it's had a good flowing heads on it. It is studded. So, I mean, this thing should be able to take pretty good little amount of spray and live a decent life. We're going to get this thing stuffed off back in here. We're going to get a base tune loaded in it for him so he can go out and get the break-in miles on it, just cruise around and enjoy it. And then once it's broke in and he does a fresh oil change, he's going to take this thing down to Ben Charles right here in Northeast Arkansas and have him open it the fuck up. But as you can tell, we got this thing inside. We got the engine drug out of the engine room. We're about to get this thing on the cherry picker and get it put in the car. Let's dive into it. Alright, so we got this thing stabbed in here. We got a couple bell housing bolts in it. We got the motor mount bolts in it. I'll go ahead and do the converter bolts, the rest of the bell housing bolts, headers. Start working our way from the inside out as we normally do, and try to get done what we can this afternoon before it's time to call it quits. Alright, so we got this thing moved up and put on the rack. We're about to take it up now. Knock some things out underneath. Try to make some progress. Alright, so if you're looking at a GM Flexplate, let's talk about this little pink dot right here. You may have found yourself laying on your back in your driveway, starting one bolt by hand, making sure it clears the back of the block, the rear cover, and the oil pan, turning it over to the next one, starting that one by hand, turning it over to the next one, starting that by hand. You've already turned it over one full revolution before you've even started tightening them down. Or else if you tighten them down, start with the wrong one, you're going to risk cross-threading a bolt inside of a converter, or you're going to get to your second or third bolt hole and it's not going to line up. That's where this pink dot comes into play. This hole right here at the pink dot is oblong. The other two are perfectly circular. You start with one of these bolt holes that's perfectly circular, the bolt's not going to center up, and when you get to this one, it's not going to line up. You're going to have to cross-thread a converter bolt, or you're going to have to start turning it over and loosening these up. But if you start with this pink dot, you can run this bolt all the way down, turn it to the next one, put that one in, run it all the way down, so forth with the third one, and by the time you get to that, you've only turned the motor over one full revolution. I learned that the hard way, and then had a tech that I worked with tell me about that. I feel like that's a super valuable piece of information. If you're changing a transmission or a motor in any GM vehicle that's got even the smaller vehicles like the Terrains and the Equinoxes and stuff, they've got a dot on the Flexplate too. Sometimes it's not pink, sometimes it's yellow, especially on the newer stuff. They switched it up and they started doing yellow dots on the later model stuff. A lot of aftermarket converters don't have that. If you don't have a painted dot, look for the oblong hole. Let's dive back into it. Alright, now we can plug our crank sensor in and get the starter in this bad boy. Plug up our oil level sensor. Actually, before we do that, we need to put the motor mount nuts on.
We need an 8 millimeter for that.
Yeah, we need an 8 mil and a 13. We'll go ahead and get the starter back in this thing. We got the converter bolts in it yesterday afternoon before we left. Get the starter back in it, plug up a couple things under here, and then we'll let it down. See if we can get the headers on it. Radiator, front accessories. Start running through it. Yeah, go ahead and tighten that up. Alright, starter's in. Plugs, we need oil. Oh wait, no, he's got oil on the filter. We need coolant. Knock sensor harness. I think that's it. We didn't lose any trans fluid. We didn't bust the power steering loose. That should be it.
Alright.
It's got good plug wires.
We got header gaskets, or manifold gaskets. You should have showed us the top, man. I'm pretty comfortable up here.
Well, hurry the fuck up then.
I tried.
You lined up?
Yeah, I'm lined up.
Alright, go ahead and bolt it up.
I gotta pull up on them a little bit.
Well, we're like an inch away from the exhaust, so.
Oh, alright.
Which is better than I thought we would be. Alright, so when we're talking about manifold gaskets, we got two different types. We got these cheap ones that come in like Felpro gasket kits. They come with cheap headers. Even some of the name brand headers will send you these. They're the perforated, compressed, multi-layer shit gaskets. GM gaskets, Delco gaskets, BTR gaskets, multi-layer steels is what you're looking for. These are where it's at. They seal up 10 times better. These, once they get wet, they will blow out, crack, and split. And one of these is actually already separated. Which means if you put this thing, which this is for an LT too, but same concept. You put this thing on a motor, it's more than likely going to leak. It's going to have a crack right here before long, top and bottom. And that cylinder is going to leak like hell. Cheap headers, and it comes with these. Throw them in the trash. Buy a set of multi-layer steels. Save yourself the headache and the time. They're not expensive. And you may find yourself saying, well, those came with my headers. Just buy the multi-layers, man. Alright, let's get back to it. When you're putting these on too, they are directional. It does matter what way they go. You pull them out of the pack. Look at one side, it'll say down and have an arrow. Then it says manifold side. So that means it's going to go in on the driver's side like this, or in on the passenger side like this.
Hey, will you pass me a 10 ratchet wrench?
Let it go.
Alright, so now it needs...
It needs to come this way just a little bit. Here, hang on. Watch this. Is that it?
Almost. Yeah, that's, I think so. Push forward.
Dead blow.
Right on the ground. Tap it from the back. Oh yeah! That's it right there.
Alright, now we'll leave this ratchet strap on it until you get that header bolted up.
Drop it down.
This is... Oh, what? I ain't gonna want to move. There we go.
Are you ready?
No. Here we go. If we ever build a white F-body, we're gonna call it tartar sauce.
We're gonna call it tartar sauce?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Fish stick and tartar sauce.
Ain't nothing more American than that, brother.
Need a white Firebird. Got his new knock sensor harness plugged up. Got the alternator on there. We got that harmonic balancer on there. Sammy getting the water pump ready.
Yeah, buddy, we're ready.
This water pump on here. Be a lot cooler with a water pump on it.
Be a lot cooler if you did, dude. You grab me a 10 mil?
If we could just...
Alright, bet.
The other one will be map.
Oh, okay.
One of them will be map, one of them will be... Let me go flashlight.
This looks like map right here. Purple.
Well, they kind of look the same, but they've got notches in them. So they'll only go in
Oh, okay.
one plug.
We got one right here. And then we got, let's see, oil pressure.
There's our vacuum. So that's probably going to be map.
Okay. So maybe further back.
It's injector. It's down here. That's
Yes,
going to be
sir.
cam. Wait, no?
No?
Oh, yeah. There should be cam sensor.
See a little 2-wire plug?
Yeah.
Like this one?
Yep.
So,
And then here's oh, it's right there. I think.
say, I know I
See if that's it. No.
I mean,
Yeah, that should be it. Harness ran on the engine and get our alternator plugged up, which you could honestly probably go ahead and do that now. If we can do that, then we can go ahead and get the power steering pump on it. We'll just have that hot wire that comes from the battery and goes to the alternator. That thing's down there. That plug. Shoot fire. Plugs in right here. We'll have to make sure this shit's out the header once we get everything else in here.
yeah, definitely.
But make sure there ain't no like odd fucking grounds that need to go down anywhere, nothing crazy. Okay. We're good, we're good. Vacuum, alright.
Power steering pump?
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and do the intake?
They go in from the, yeah.
No, they just go through the pump.
Okay.
And it's these long water pump bolts that we had. Alright, so we're putting a Mighty Mouse Solutions catch can on this thing. What's cool about these catch cans is they've got a baffle right here in the filter, so they don't just vent to the atmosphere all the time. This baffle will close when the engine's under vacuum, and if the engine goes under boost or receives a lot of PCV, positive crankcase ventilation, or pressure, then it will open this valve and allow it to vent to the atmosphere. So it can save you from blowing out seals and gaskets, popping the dipstick out, or smoking in a case where you've got excessive blow-by. Mighty Mouse is one of the only companies that I've found that has that design, or the only company I've found that has that design. And these things are a pretty penny, but man, they are nice. They're great quality, great product. Comes with all the necessary hardware. So we bought the kit for the F-body, so this is going to go on the passenger side head, vise down over the catch can, and be mounted up. And then one line will go to the driver's side valve cover, and the other line will go to the intake. But we're about to get this thing set up on there. One step down. Alright, so we got the front accessories on this thing. Sammy's putting the power steering pump pulley on now. We got that Mighty Mouse catch can ran and routed. So on your catch cans on an LS, you want to come out of the driver's side valve cover, go to the catch can, come out of the catch can, and go back straight to the intake. A lot of people will try to put it right here from the passenger valve cover where it goes to the throttle body. Now on a stock setup, it's going to look different than this. Your PCV hose that comes off the passenger valve cover usually goes to your air box. So the best way to think about this is anything before the throttle body and mass airflow is going to be considered unmetered air. The passenger side is actually a fresh air source. So this should be drawing in fresh air that's been metered. So usually it's put between the throttle body and the mass airflow. A lot of people will tend to run the catch can there doesn't seem to usually work properly. Or they'll run it off the driver's side like they're supposed to, and then they'll vent this to the atmosphere, and then this is drawing in unmetered air, causing a vacuum leak, so to speak. You want to run this one straight to the throttle body or in front of the throttle body, and then this one's going to come off your little PCV valve on the driver's side valve cover, go through the catch can, and then straight to the intake. Yeah.
Alright, fuel packs are on.
It's on.
In a world full of drain plugs, don't be the dipstick. And if you are going to be the dipstick, then remember to tell them just the tip. It's hot out here, y'all. Y'all better be wearing deodorant. You stop by and see us. We don't care to see you, but we don't want to smell you. We know y'all don't want to smell us, so we be wearing deodorant. We don't want to be smelling each other, so we be wearing deodorant. Dipstick achieved. Check the fuel leaks first.
Key on. I ain't got no pressure at the rail.
You had nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, then we probably took something out to move it outside. Alright guys, so it's Saturday morning, we're back in here. Yesterday around quitting time we fired this thing up, and the vacuum line that comes off the back of the back of the intake was pushing up on the vacuum line that goes to the booster, and it broke the oil sitting unit. We started pissing oil everywhere. So right before we left yesterday, we pulled this intake back off, we swapped that sitting unit out and rerouted that booster line. Luckily we were able to catch that. We got it put back together, but we were not able to fire it back off since it was so close to quitting time. We had to get out of here. Had some things to do yesterday. So we're back in here this morning. We're going to get this thing fired off, run it through its first heat cycle, make sure the vitals are good, check everything out, and then we got to mount up a couple gauges and do a tune on this thing, and it's ready to go home. So I guess I want to set this thing up and fire it off and see how it sounds.
Flip the key, I'll check the fuel leaks. Take two.
Alright, so we got the motor back in this thing. We got her fired up and running. We did run into a little bit of issues with a cheap throttle body that he's got on here. So he has overnighted a Holly Sniper 92 mil with a new TPS and IAC. And once that gets here, we're going to put that on and hopefully get this thing dialed in and be able to send it home. Other than that, we have a small fuel leak behind the intake going across the crossover. We're going to pull the intake back off when we do the throttle body and check that. But that's going to sum it up for this episode. Remember to smash that subscribe button and let us know in the comments how you're liking the content. Follow us on our socials, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and of course here on YouTube at 727 Motorsports. Be looking out for an episode of Specs and Stories on this car, because once he gets it broke in and it goes to bin and gets opened up, we're going to be getting with him and shoot one of those. In the meantime, check out the channel. Hope you guys enjoy the videos. Thanks for watching.